everybody, and welcome to Azure Flash News. And this is January 18th of 2019.
Yes, it is.
Cold day. We got a cold day today.
Yeah, it's getting colder. Getting no snowier, but colder and icier. And boy, it's a little depressing. We have one of those. We have one of those lights. Those I forget what they're called at home. They're just kind of like a
sunlight.
Yeah, sort of. But I have definitely found benefit in using it because You
have SAD?
I do. I have a little seasonal effectiveness disorder. Now, having said that, I know I've got some trips coming up for work. One's down in Las Colinas, Texas. So hopefully I'll get some semblance of sun and warmth.
It'll be sunnier and warm down there.
But yeah, you know, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things we deal with in the Midwest. Probably, I'd be interested to see what kind of AI or some predictive analytics we could wrap around the weather predictions and levels of depression. I'm going to stop there because I just gave somebody $1 billion idea.
Yeah.
Write me a check.
Keep it for yourself.
Write me a check. Make it out to Rick Weinberg, and I'll be happy to give you IP rights to that idea.
That's right. He just put a patent on it right now.
I can't. I think Microsoft officially owns the right to everything that comes out of my brain, don't they?
I guess so.
Unfortunately for you, I think I get the good end of that deal.
Yeah, I guess. So, you want to give us an overview of what we got this week?
Yeah, there is some good stuff. We've got some compliance announcements where we've yet again. I know there's some stuff that's going on right now with government compliance and some other things that are happening U.S. specific for like Azure Gov and O365. But in addition to that, of course, we've got some other geopolitical region compliance. We've got some cool, interesting things with Azure Maps, which we don't talk about much.
Yeah.
There was a really cool story I wanted to include around some of the stuff we're doing with AI, and it's about storytelling, which I thought was really intriguing.
That was kind of a funny.
I know, right?
Fun one.
Yeah, it was. It really is.
Yep.
An awesome opportunity for people to ask the experts or the Ask Me Anything session that's coming up around Azure Site Recovery.
Yep.
Some ServiceNow implementation things that you can incorporate for change management with your CI pipeline or CI/CD pipelines. Grafana is now some monitor stuff.
Yeah, some Azure Monitor stuff with Grafana.
We'll get there. Right on.
Okay, it's cool. I was kind of excited about that one.
Oh, totally.
Okay, so if we get back to the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back to the beginning again. We have some announcements around KISMS. This may not matter so much to the customers listening, but you never know.
Well,
we do have a worldwide audience.
Exactly.
My guess is that
someone cares.
We're just as popular in Korea as K-pop is to our kids.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope so. That would be
nice.
That would be.
K-pop is pretty big right now.
Right on. No, so I think in the interest of just showing that we are constantly making sure that we're in compliance, we are trusted, we are secure, we are within regulatory governance models for different geopolitical regions. We have obtained the Korea Information Security Management System or KISMS certification, which is awesome, right? Because that's our goal, is to take you out of the business of having to worry about that and put the onus on the Azure platform to take responsibility. Now, having said that, we can do all this stuff, but if you're building an application, you have to take responsibility for it.
It's a shared responsibility.
It is, right?
So we take care of our stuff and provide you a platform that's ready to go so that you can take care of your stuff.
Yes.
It's very similar to like HIPAA or PCI, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Our platforms, we guarantee, and like just to discuss it for a second.
Yep.
The PCI DSS, whatever 3 or whatever it is.
Yes.
We actually have an Excel spreadsheet that talks about all of the requirements.
It's in Excel.
It is actually in Excel.
Why didn't they use something like?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's in Excel. It's like the universal data delivery format.
It really is.
So it goes through every single requirement and shows you who's responsible for what and how to implement. So we take this very seriously. We want to make it easier for you to get going.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just as a little bit of background, so this was established by the Korean Internet and Security Agency, or KISA, right? Which there's a lot of kissing going on over there.
I know.
It's kind of a strange.
If you really love somebody, you should kiss them.
I want to go to Korea now. I want to go to South Korea. Sounds like there's a lot of kissing. It's good.
That's good.
Okay, I digress.
Yeah.
So KISA basically established this KISM safeguard to safeguard the infrastructure in Korea. Right, and that's the whole point of it. So if you're doing work, if you're a global company, which in this day and age it seems like everybody is, with a few exceptions, this is a great opportunity to establish trust with your customers and let them know that if you are running in Azure, you will be covered by this certification that we've achieved.
Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff.
So
okay, well, this one is, if not interesting, it's really pretty.
It is. Well, it shows well.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I have it on the wrong spot. Here we go. There we go.
But not only that, you can install the air map. So there's a plugin that you can actually install that they built, which is kind of cool.
What?
Okay. So what they've done is it's called Dynamic Mission Planning for Drones with Azure Maps. So ultimately, there is actually airspace, unmanned traffic management airspace for drones. Okay.
Okay.
And what this does is it's real-time location intelligence. It's super, super important for business. But when you think about drones, you think about what they're doing in the airspace. Yeah. They've got to make sure that they stay within the bounds in the context of, right? Because we've been seeing a lot of things in the news lately. Planes have been grounded, things have been happening. Exactly. Yep. You got it. So it offers an open API and SDK that basically you can integrate this capability into third-party applications. There's a plugin you can drop in, but it's all around mapping this airspace or again, unmanned traffic management. So it's UTM.
Yeah.
UTM. Yeah. UTM. Unmanned traffic management platform.
Yeah. Right.
It demos well. It's really cool. And we don't talk about Azure Maps a lot, but if you look at some of the features and functionality that's coming out of that, like route optimization, I mean, granted, it's table stakes in that domain, right? Yeah. But to me, not being an expert in that domain, but being morbidly curious, it's really cool to see, again, route optimization, the algorithms that they're putting into that stuff, right? It's the, what do they call that? The traveling salesman algorithm.
Yeah. Well, and I think another interesting thing is that if you're going with a cloud platform, I mean, we've had this stuff in Bing.
Yep.
And Bing was kind of the provider, and they've kind of picked that stuff up, and they've moved it into Azure and made it completely native with Azure. Because when it was with Bing, it was kind of there wasn't a good support model. There wasn't a good billing model.
Agreed.
You know, they needed to lift it into Azure and make it just an Azure service. Just
first-class citizen.
Yeah. Yep. And so this is a really great way to now complete, because I know of one specific project that I helped with a year and a half ago, and they were using Bing Maps. And it was kind of, and the rest of the application was in Azure. And it was kind of like this one piece that wasn't, a part of the platform.
Right.
And they didn't know who to call for support. Anyway.
Yep. No, I know, and I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. They did. They're here in the city.
They are, and they were amazing customer to work with and all that good stuff. But you're right. That implementation, it just felt
it was
like
fine,
but not perfect.
Yeah, it was like you could just kind of see, you could kind of be like, this platform, this maps and all that stuff, location-based querying stuff, it was just kind of a fish out of water. It just didn't make sense. Anyway, so that's one of the things I'm really excited about Azure Maps in general, which has been in GA for I don't know however long, but part of the Azure platform.
Absolutely, but this is a great example of taking that capability, creating layers, doing the overlays, doing a bunch of the different, leveraging the geospatial information that's proprietary to you, laying it on top of that map. In this particular instance, it's interesting because it is that unmanned traffic map of the drone airspaces. There is a plugin, if you're curious, if you're a drone enthusiast, as they say on South Park, where the drones have become self-aware, and they didn't really, of course, but I clearly, again, I'm showing my level of maturity as I watch South Park. But
that's okay. That's okay, Rick. That's okay.
Yeah, no, super cool. But and I definitely encourage people to take a look at the solution. I've done some work with Azure Maps now in the last couple months, and I found it super, super simple.
Yeah.
Very easy to work with, easy to integrate. A lot of Java, all the different libraries that are available have been fantastic. So just a great example of matching up capabilities to really accomplish something quick, cheap, and very, very feature rich.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you start from the platform that's kind of there, ready to go, for you to build some new interesting capability on top of it, you can do it really quickly.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
Cool stuff, man. All right, so this is kind of crazy.
This is really crazy. It's really interesting.
So what is Pix2 Story? Just give me like the one sentence of what is Pix2 Story.
So Pix2 Story basically is as the headline indicates, it's a neural storyteller, right? So it uses machine-generated stories that are associated with captions that are derived from images.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can basically you can leverage or target different genres.
Yep.
Right.
So now this is. I was actually just going to look real quick here.
Okay.
Has anybody ever seen Caption Bot?
Oh, there you go.
Right, and so if you ask for Caption Bot, you say here's a picture, and it says, for those of you who are listening, I'll kind of explain this. It's captionbot.ai. This is provided by Microsoft.
Yep.
And I just selected one of the default pictures here. It's a picture of a baseball player.
Yep.
And he's at bat. There's kind of a bright light behind him. But anyway, and it says, check YouTube if you want to see this afterward.
Yes, yes. Please go to the YouTube.
There we go. Okay, just a quick plug. All right.
Good point.
And then the caption bot says, I think it's a baseball player holding a bat on a field. So our AI looked at that picture and said, I think it's a baseball player holding a bat on a field.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool.
Which,
so anyway,
absolutely.
so this is kind of in this vein.
Yep.
I just wanted to mention it.
So basically what it does is it does visual semantic embedding, right? So it's taking a look at the image, it's looking at the context, it's creating some visual semantics based on what it's seeing, right? So there are some specific semantics that it's addressing, but you can see what it's doing is it's implementing a lot of different components and capabilities to arrive. So I think we've used, I thought I saw someplace in here like 300,000 books or novels or we've been training this corpus of information to create these different paths to a story, okay? Yep. So with the visual semantic embedding, that's the first part of the project, is to transform the input picture into captions, okay? And to your point, CaptureBot does a great job of that. Then ultimately what you're looking through is a concept called skip-through vectors. And skip-through vectors it generates generic sentences representation that can be used in different tasks. So you can actually branch out. There's different veins, threads you can follow, almost like a choose your own adventure book, but it's choosing your adventure for you.
Choose your own adventure.
Remember those books?
Yeah,
they rocked.
If you want to step through the portal, turn to page 36.
Exactly.
If you want to turn around, go to page 89.
If you want to use the Azure CLI, go to page
89.
Oh, dude. Again, write me out a check. I'll release all my IP rights. I love it. Love it.
The Azure Choose Your Own Adventure series by Rick Weinberg.
Oh my gosh, that
wow. Okay.
Anyway, I almost have to do it. So, but what's cool about that? So basically, what they did was the next step is to use that skip-through vector to. So there's an encoder decoder, right? And that's a big component to all this, and it trains that model because it tries to reconstruct surrounding sentences. So it's taking these different sentences that it's collecting, and then it tries to reconstruct them, but it has to do it in a way that makes sense, right? So there's that component. Then there's this style shifting aspect of it where, so the skip throughs, and I just want to make sure that I'm just explaining it properly. If there's more than one passage, you've got to make a style shift, right? Because you want to maintain a consistent style throughout the story. So if there's another direction it can go, but you're trying to target, say, sci-fi, and you're not trying to target I don't know, country western. If one of the potential sentences may include, right, a covered wagon,
that would not work in sci-fi.
Right. So
unless it's like Westworld.
Right. Yeah. So style shifting has to ensure that it's not bouncing back and forth between these different potential genres. So the cool thing about this is, guess what? You can download this from GitHub, and you can
already brought it up.
Okay,
I was like,
all right.
I was like, dude, there's the source code.
I know.
There it is.
That I just about, when I was reading this article, I was looking at it, and then I saw the link to GitHub. I'm like, oh my gosh.
So I was actually there it is, Picks to Story. So it's on ailab.microsoft.com.
Yep.
And I don't know if you can do it. You can launch. There's the source code. Whoa, hold on. I went too fast. So if you notice here, I'm on the AI Labs.
Yep.
I went to the Picks to Story page. There's the launch.
Yep.
There's the source code, which I showed over here.
Of course.
But then here's where it goes. And so you can say, do me a motorcycle story. Anyway, so we'll let it run here.
That's really cool. Boom, an adventure story.
Once the motorcycle was taken by its owner, it was a difficult trek. Wow, that actually makes sense.
Okay.
It's kind of a story from the motorcycle's point of view.
Interesting, right?
But
what is that?
Another night.
Is that third party, first party, fourth party?
Huh?
I don't know how you would describe that. Is there a context for that when it's
the motorcycle? No, this is third person.
Okay.
But it's kind of.
It's a she. Her mind raced back. Yeah. Okay.
You never know. Why not?
Yeah.
It's an interesting experiment.
Super interesting. What I like is the fact that it's a culmination of a bunch of different steps that are basically foundationally based on different algorithms, right?
Yep.
That in whole show you how you can achieve this. But it's the sum of the parts that's really interesting, right? But each individual part is even interesting.
The thing is that, so to bring it from kind of this crazy story about a motorcycle that takes itself into the city or whatever it was, I think there are predictions that most mundane, if you will, news stories like sports stories are already currently or will soon be generated completely by AI.
Perfect example of that. So as a coach for my son's baseball teams, we had to use a product called Game Changer. There's other products out there, right? But Game Changer allows you to keep track, keep score, keep stats, individual player statistics, et cetera, et cetera. But what it did was at the end of a game, when you said this game is complete, it would actually auto-generate basically like a news article.
Yeah.
So there was
2018, Rick's team played so-and-so's team.
Exactly.
So-and-so came out ahead, whatever.
Well, but even more interesting, at the bottom of the first, the Minnetonka Blue team moved ahead off a triple by Lucas Weinberg, who ended up going 4 for 4 for the night. Like that kind of, that was at that level.
Scoring was led by so-and-so. Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty good.
No, it was really interesting. I mean, so I can see the need, provided that it, and what's interesting about this is it does take the author's bias out of the equation, right? Yeah. Now, these could be used for nefarious ways, right? So with great power comes great responsibility. But if you can remove the bias from the author who's presenting this information and simply present it factually, we can get ourselves out of this whole conundrum that we're dealing with today in modern society. And I'm a little bit of soapbox here. Social media and all the other stuff where people are getting news from, where arguably that shouldn't be your primary source of news. No. But it could take us back to the time when you were reading newspaper articles and they were double and triple checking their sources, and they were trying. I'm not saying they did a great job, but they were trying at least to present it in a somewhat, objective perspective.
I think another way to look at it also is that think of all the news that doesn't really get covered.
Yes, fair.
That can be covered. Like I think your sports story is a really good one, but think about just the high school football game.
Yeah, absolutely.
That you could actually generate a news story and publish it so that people could read it online or whatever. So there's lots of small local news. Yep. And so, you might even be able to kind of integrate this. Think about the sports story, and it shows a picture with a certain number, and it knows that's Lucas, and it says, and it can do a caption like Lucas rounds to third base in the bottom of the
facial recognition.
You could do it anyway, so it's cool.
I like where you're going with this. I really like. See,
it's all about it.
This is why I love working at Microsoft.
Smart people.
Smart people. It's just a beautiful thing. When I'm surrounded by people like Mr. Splinter, who you can't see off camera right now, we've got Emily in the back, we've got Mark next to me. I am just in a sea of geniuses. It's a beautiful thing.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's good stuff.
It really is. So anyway, definitely take a look. Even if you're morbidly curious about, really, in some respects, where the future is going, where we're headed, where we're thinking, some of the different things that you could do. This is a great example. Again, source code's on GitHub. I believe it's containerized, so you can download it, basically provision a container.
Yeah, our whole Azure cognitive stuff kit, it's all containerized, so you can actually take it and run it in your data center. Actually, believe it or not.
Yep. So
or on the edge in your stores, in your machine, in your factory. You can.
Don't go to Azure. Azure will come to you.
That's right. Anyway.
Now, wait, there's more. Act now, and you'll get the cognitive services container. That can be deployed on site.
And if you do it right now, we'll double your order. Yes,
That's
double the order.
Right. If you call within the next 10 minutes, we'll give you a second container absolutely free. You'll just have to pay for shipping and handling.
That's right. Love it. Okay.
Very cool.
What's next? We digress.
Okay, we totally digress. So, So ASR. So Azure Site Recovery, for those of you that don't know, is a fantastic tool to recover assets or resources from on-premises to Azure, on-premises to on-premises, Azure to Azure, other cloud providers to Azure. It gives you a ton of flexibility. The whole point is basically it's a site recovery tool for things like disaster recovery or even migration. If you want to move from location A to location B, you can actually recover your site by using Azure Site Recovery. So
then you just turn it off.
Yeah, exactly.
A migration to Azure can be as simple as standing up Azure Site Recovery, failing over once.
Done. Yep, one and done. Yeah. So it's a really cool, really powerful tool. What I love about this the reason I brought this to the forefront is that they're hosting an Ask Me Anything session, okay? Yeah. So I believe it's on January 22nd. So it's Tuesday. It's going to be on Twitter. It's going to be held from 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Just in case you're someplace else, do the translate.
A little later in the day, over the lunch hour.
I was told there'd be no math, so I'm not going to do the.
Don't. Plus 2 hours.
Thank you. But you can tweet Azure Site Recovery minus 2 hours.
No, it's 10 o'clock here and 8 o'clock there, so it's.
We're plus 2 hours. Okay. See, I was told there'd be no math.
It's plus 2 hours from what they said here.
Yes, we are. Yeah, if you're in Central, yep. Absolutely.
Add 2 hours.
Add 2 hours. So Azure Site Recovery, so you can tweet at Azure Site Recovery or tweet Azure Support. with the hashtag ASR_AMA. So hashtag ASR_AMA. Ask them anything, okay? I love these sessions because you are interacting with the engineering team. You're interacting with the people that are responsible for the product, for developing the product, for shaping the product. Ask them anything.
How you got a question about roadmap?
Exactly. Yes. When will X be available, or how would you? Absolutely. This is a great chance.
Are you working on X? Have you ever considered building X?
Yep.
Hey, I had a problem with X. Did you know that was a problem? I mean, seriously, they really want to know.
Exactly.
It's a different world. I mean, I remember when I started at Microsoft just 7 years ago. It seems like eons ago. But there was a lot of like, shh, don't tell people what's coming in SQL Server. It's a secret. We're going to have a big launch. And like that just doesn't happen in cloud. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's some stuff that we're kind of
there's still
keeping
stuff,
secret,
yes. But we are
overall. It's like the whole feedback thing.
We're innovating in the open.
Important. You have to ask for feedback, and you have to provide some like, okay, so what if we did this?
Right.
Which means you have to kind of work out in the public just a little bit because we want to partner with our customers and help develop things that they want.
Remember, Microsoft's mantra is not to be sexy or be cool, it's to make you cool.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's how we do it, by taking that feedback that you need to be cool, incorporating into our base product, and then enabling that feature functionality for you so you can go invent the next
thing.
The next drone mapping Azure Maps integration plugin.
All right.
Okay. So you brought up a great point earlier off pre podcast. We were talking about ServiceNow, and I mean, okay, raise your virtual hand if you're not a ServiceNow customer.
Crickets.
Because I would say raise your hand if you are, but I think everybody would collectively raise their hand. So with ServiceNow being so synonymous with really on-prem, prevalent's a better word. So prevalent in enterprises these days, it just makes sense to make sure that you've got some integration or some semblance of connectivity or integration with ServiceNow. So I was on the Microsoft DevOps blog, which is not a blog that necessarily gets highlighted frequently from our content, but being curious, I was out there and checking stuff out, and I thought it was interesting that you can include a ServiceNow change management component in Azure pipelines.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to scroll down here just a little bit for those of you who are watching on YouTube. That you can. Here it is. It's just one of the steps.
Yeah.
It's like a pre-deployment condition. Do ServiceNow change management. Done.
Exactly.
I mean, like, it doesn't get any easier than that.
No, it really doesn't. And native integration is really what you're looking for when you want to see two pieces come together, right? You don't want to. The challenge I've always had is people want to I'm going to have the best of breed product for this step, then the best of breed product for this step, then the best of breed product for this step, which was awesome, but very rarely did they all integrate together in a cohesive fashion. While you're starting to see first level, first party cohesion and interaction in a way that makes it really, really easy to snap the pieces together, even when it's Azure, non-Azure, and that's awesome.
Awesome stuff. So keep up. Azure DevOps is amazing. We should probably do a breakout show.
We really should.
I mean, we should just do a show.
A whole show dedicated to.
Too many shows.
Absolutely.
Not enough time. Okay, now this was something I added.
Yes.
Are we ready to move on?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I added this. I don't know. Most customers have some semblance of Grafana in their organization, which is a graphing tool. And a lot of times they're using Grafana with. I mean, it's an open source for like dashboarding.
And it's been around for a while, if I understand.
It has. And customers want to use the things that they're already using. And so in Azure, the monitoring comes with the platform. Now you can bring your own monitoring stuff if you want.
Sure.
But if you don't want to, which most customers tend to say, if there's something first party in Azure, I want to use it.
Exactly.
Or at least I want to look at it. I want to look
I want to consider it. I will consider it.
I will consider it. That's generally the strategy. And typically with Azure Monitor, I think people are pretty happy with it.
Yep.
We always reserve the right to be better tomorrow than we are today, so things will continue to get better. But I think that as a whole package, people are just like, look, I don't want to manage a monitoring solution.
Right.
I just want to use the platform. I've already invested in this platform.
Consume, and exploit, right?
Yeah. So, but if you're already using Grafana and you want to keep using it, we have a couple of announcements about continue to use Grafana. So Azure Monitor is the consolidated single point for all of the metrics in Azure.
Or not just in Azure.
Well, you can pull it on-prem. You can do all kinds of stuff. But it's kind of like we have a metric store, and all the data goes in there, and it runs on a platform that internally we call Custo. And you can buy this for your own solutions called Data Explorer, which is the next point I'm going to make in just a second. But basically, you'll notice here, if you're looking on the video on YouTube, that you can kind of see how we're using Grafana here. But you'll notice that down underneath, there's a Kusto query or KQL query that we're querying against Azure Monitor, which uses Kusto as a backend. Or Azure Data Explorer, and you can, just kind of natively put these dashboards together.
That's awesome.
If you're already using Grafana, that's great.
Keep using it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just integrate with what the platform is great at, which is kind of keeping all this metrics data for you.
Oh, yeah.
And just use it. So
absolutely.
The next one that I went ahead and did, I put the link in the show notes.
Okay.
And Data Explorer, like I said, is the PaaS database platform for the same capability. And you can then also do this. So now that Grafana understands, these KQL queries, you'll see here that I'm in Grafana, and here is a KQL query.
And just a reminder, KQL is Kusto Query Language, which is very similar to. It's very similar. SQL-like. It's SQL-like. It's SQL-like. You're going to see order by your clauses. You're going to see, okay.
Yeah, it's very similar to SQL, except they did the right thing that SQL never did, which is put the table first. That was the big mistake in SQL. Sorry.
Oh, dude, I know. They put the action before the destination or the target.
Yeah, you had to select. It just made IntelliSense impossible.
That's a great point.
It should be from this select.
Exactly.
Because
you
can't do
IntelliSense
because you're like select. How many times have you been like, well, I need to select 3 columns, and you write select star from this, and then you go back to get rid of the star because now you have IntelliSense.
Exactly.
It should have been the other way around. Anyway, it's all good. I love SQL. Don't get me wrong. Nobody send me hate mail.
No.
But
hate.
Twitters, tweets.
Yeah.
Anyway,
don't tweet them.
So, but in KQL they got it right.
Okay.
But it's very SQL-like. You'll find it to be very similar.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand it. So if I can figure it out, trust me.
Rick can figure it out.
You guys can.
You can do it,
right?
Okay. So anyway, just a couple of quick announcements there. So if you're a Grafana user, go check that out.
Yeah.
Azure Data Explorer is just really a log ingestion and exploration and analytics engine.
That's all it is.
It's amazing. So I was doing a demo for my customer just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and you can take a JSON document and put it in a column.
Why are you taking Jason's documents? Does he care?
You know what I'm talking about.
JavaScript object notation. Okay.
So you can put it. So in Kusto, you can make columns, right? And that's it's like the native format is comma delimited.
Okay.
That's the fastest thing. It creates
like a CSV.
A CSV. Okay. And it creates column indexes, column store indexes.
Oh, right.
Columnar store.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm still tracking it.
But what you can do in addition to that is you can actually put a JSON document in a column.
Okay.
And you can actually query into the JSON document. And so you can say, if the column name is my JSON, you can say from GitHub event where my column dot.
And now now you're navigating a DOM essentially,
yes.
right? Interesting.
And the demo was
it would be like the old school XPath queries, but this is the more modern cool way to do it.
This is it right here.
Okay.
So if you'll look here on the video.
Yep.
GitHub event is the table where repo.name. So repo is the column. Name is actually a field in a JSON document.
Okay.
And you'll notice here, these are the kinds of things we don't have in SQL. Has. So that's a contains query.
It contains, yes, exactly.
We don't have that in SQL.
Yep,
Contains
that's awesome.
So anyway.
So repo
really
is
cool.
your root level element or entity, and name is your property.
GitHub event is the table.
No, I'm sorry. But I mean within that JSON construct. Okay.
No, repo is the column, the whole column.
Oh.
And so then now you're in there, and you can think about the squirrely brackets for the JSON. And the first element is called name.
Name. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's cool. It blew people away.
That's very
cool. It doesn't compress as much columnar storage because it's a JSON document, of course.
Sure.
So if you wanted to split all those fields out into columns, it'll be faster. But anyway, I love it. I'm on board with Data Explorer.
Absolutely. No, this is awesome. Anyway. That was a great ad.
Sorry.
Look at you.
It was awesome. I've even got something at 10 o'clock, and I spent my extra time doing this.
That was
okay.
Awesome.
That's all right.
Because that's the kind of guy
Because I love it.
That's
and
the
I want
kind
to
of guy
share with the customers. I want to share with my peeps.
Speaking of which, if your peeps and customers want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
mgarner@microsoft.com or @mgarner on Twitter. No problem. Please.
Awesome. Okay. And if you want to reach out to me, by all means, Rick, WEY @Microsoft.com, or go ahead and direct message us, private message us, send us a drone with a letter.
On the map, using the tool.
Just make sure it gets to Azure Flash News.
That's right.
Awesome. And thank you so much to the MTC.
Yeah,
as usual, Emily McMiller, thank you so much. Yep, she always does a great job highlighting when to take the shine off my forehead and when to emphasize Mark's pecs.
Come on, give me a break.
No, thank you guys so much. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time, effort, and energy that you're putting into staying current with us on Azure. And we look forward to, as usual, seeing you same time, same place next week. If not then, on Twitter, Stitcher, Google Play, iTunes, YouTube. But until then, keep your fingers on the keyboards, your hands on the keyboards, and your head in the cloud.
See you guys.